To reflect objects about the X or Y axis and other movements. Here's an example. You have a triangle in the upper left, and the directions over here on the right say to reflect it across the y-axis and then move it down 4. So let's reflect across the y-axis first. Just think of the y-axis, which is this, straight up and down. Think of the y-axis as a mirror, and you're going to reflect that figure across the y-axis into that mirror. Well, right here on this point, notice that it's 2 away from the y-axis. So if it's 2 away from the y-axis there, it's got to be 2 away from the y-axis on the other side, straight across from it. And then let's pick another point, this one down here at the bottom. Notice that it is 5 away from the y-axis. So over on this side, it's got to be 5 away from the y-axis. And the one straight above it is also 5 away from the y-axis. So there is the triangle after it's been reflected across the y-axis. It must be the same distance away here and here and here. Now you have to move it down 4. So with each point there, we'll start with the one at the bottom, you have to go down 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and make a dot. And the one straight above it, you have to move that one down 4. So 1, 2, 3, and then 4 would be right there. For this point, out on the left, it's got to go down 4. So 1, 2, 3, and then 4. Now this is the triangle after you've done all of your movements. Horrible looking line, best I can do with a thin marker. Now for the final answer, you have to write the coordinates of the points. So for this one, it is 2, 1. And then for this one, it is 5, 1. And for this one, it is 5, -2. What you would submit as an answer would be these 3 points. Example 2. There's a box in the lower left, and the directions say to reflect that across the x-axis, which is going to be this, left to right. So we're going to reflect it this way. And I need my red marker. There we go. So if we reflect it, notice that it's 2 away here. So it's got to be 2 away on the other side. And then these points here, instead of counting those up, what you can do is just determine the length of the side, which is here. It has 3 blocks that make up that side. So if you go 3 from the 2 dots you just made, you'll end up here. And it saves you some counting. So there's the box after it's been reflected across the x-axis. Now the directions say to move to the right 4 places. Now remember, you're not reflecting now, you're just moving. So if you go 4 places with these 2 dots, you're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4. So they will end up there. And remember, these side lengths, you have 3 of them. So if you just go back 3, 1, 2, 3, that'll give you the position of the rest of the box. And then write the coordinates, which should be -1, 2, 2, 2, 2, 5, and -1, 5. On this problem, you have to move it across the x-axis first as a reflection. So when we do that, this point is 2 away from the x-axis, and it's going to be 2 away there. So we make a dot. And notice that you have a side length of 3. So if you just go back 3, that'll give you the other dot. And then also notice that this one is 1, 2, 3, 4. So if you go 4 this way, you end up with the remaining vertice, or vertex. And so from there we have to go 5 to the left. So if we go 5 to the left, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's the dot. And you know that this side here is going to be 3, so it's got to be there. And this side is 4, so if you go over 4, there's your dot. And now you have to write the coordinates, which would be -3, 2, -3, 5, and then 1, 5. When you look at one piece of graph paper, for instance, on your desk, and then the one on the screen, don't make any judgments about how far away something is on one piece of graph paper from an edge, and then count back from that edge on your own graph paper. The screen graph paper and your graph paper may not be the same thing, may not have the same number of boxes, may not have the same dimensions. So you always have to pay attention to the individual numbers and the coordinates at all times. Alright, for this practice problem we have to reflect across the y-axis, which means this way. This is the y-axis. And when we reflect that, notice that this is 1, 2, 3, 4 away from the y-axis, so you have to be 4 away over here. And there's one right above it, so you can go ahead and put that one down. And the dimensions of this box, it's going to go back 2. So if you go back 2 and make dots straight up and down, you have the box reflected. Now the directions say to go down 6. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and there's one right beside it. And then don't forget that was the bottom part of the box. So if you go up 2 from each one, you get the rest of the box. And now the coordinates are -6, -1, -4, -1, -6, -3, -4, -3.